shoot. Oh, shoot. Y'all not ready. Back for the Friday Live Helpcast. You're not ready. You wasn't ready for this when you clicked on this video. If you watch it on the replay, if you live, you was not ready for me to be this amped, this pumped, this excited to be back for our Friday Live Helpcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your hostess, the most, that's Diana Gladney. And if you have not been to the Helpcast in the wilds, because I ain't been here either. I've been working. I've been doing a lot of other things behind the scenes. If you've been on the channel for a while, then you know you've seen some videos. But I had to take a rest. Side note, then we'll get back to it. Everybody always waits to take mental health days and stuff after you break. I'm the before person. Let's be a little bit more proactive about that. I need a rest. But we're here now. We're here now. You may celebrate with white chocolate. You may celebrate with white chocolate. Do you hear me out here in these real and digital streets? I'm pumped and excited. If you got questions, I got answers, allegedly. And if you eat dark chocolate, we're deleting your comments. Moving on. We got in the building David Hunt coming up for the first comment of the day. Appreciate you, brother, saying, yay, another chance to listen to the Wheel of Wonder music and eat white chocolate. See, this, ladies and just, let me tell you something. If your loved one has not been eating white chocolate, you ain't been living right. You ain't been living right. Okay? And people that put on this air of that dark chocolate, you ain't living right. Appreciate you, David. You know the way to my heart. What is up going on, Mr. Camera Junkie? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. We also have, let me go through here, y'all. Y'all talking, saying, hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. All right, let's bring the music down. Little amp. And as David said, if you hit the like button is transparent. Please click it and make it solid. Thanks. See, that's what I'm talking about. Being the Bee's Knees Hall of Fame, do stuff like this. That's what I'm talking about, brother. Appreciate that. Saying allegedly. I'm saying this. Say greetings all. What's going on? What is going on? Mr. Brian Jones, good to see you. Glad that you are here. Oh, man. JFK Productions saying hello. Good day to you, Mrs. Best-Selling Author. You better put some respect on my name, sir. That is what I am talking about. Because, yeah, the One Right video, been out. Audiobook, we did some audiobook testing, stuff like that, and it's going great. We just haven't had time to do the audiobook, but all things are well out here in these real and digital streets. So, fun fact, it's a lot of work when you do a book. And I say all that to say, if you are having some kind of level of authorship in your heart and in your life and you want to do it, do it. Do it. You're going to learn so much by doing versus the I want to do. Be in the process of. It will save your life. If you got questions about video, oh, I meant to tell you guys, and we'll explain why you see the lens that you see on this camera. Yeah, it's here. ZVE1. Why the white body camera? Because that was the one I got. And then number 2, meet Storm, everyone. You thought boy, let me tell you something. Storm has arrived. All right. I did have the Tamron 20mm f2.8. Something was wrong with the focusing motor, so that lens had to be sent back to get one that is. So we're in the in-betweens. But we've made that transition from APS-C to full frame, at least for me. Are we still going to cover on the channel? Yes. Is the A6700 hopefully going to be the camera that we've all been dreaming about? I hope so. Because the stuff that I'm seeing in this camera that I'm not seeing online, the disconnect and the disparities are disgusting. 3 hours, 4K, 422 10-bit. Yeah, 4K, 422 10-bit. I even did the 420 10-bit, tested that. No overheating issues. I know Doc has tested his for something like 6 hours plus. No, I had another friend who tested it like 6 hours something. Doc's, I think, has been running for some days. So it's like, I don't know, man. Online has its ups, has its downs. Like I said, the camera's here. Gotta wait to get my other lens back, but it's here. And it is more awesome than you think it is. And I'm not saying that. No, Sony didn't send me anything. Nobody's paying me other than my clients. And, so we'll talk about that. If you got questions about the camera, you got questions about tech, you got questions about your content, let's do it, because we do have a little bit of time. Are we going to do a 5-hour energy live stream today? No. I just put that on the community tab. No, we're not doing a 5-hour energy live stream, but short, hour and a half maybe, but we'll see. So you guys got questions about something, whatever you've been dealing with, let me know. Hyde saying, hello, what stream software popping up replies, my good sir, you are looking at the incredible Ecamm Live, and now you can see what I see. So when I want to put this up here, and if I wanted to say, oh, this meant to be a capital or a W, oh yeah, I'm just messing. What replies, hit save. I can do that with the magic of Ecamm. So if anybody says anything about dark chocolate, I can change your comment to the right comment, all right? But it allows me to do all that stuff, previews, podcasting, anything that I want to do, I can do. So any links, stuff like that, like I can pop that stuff up on the screen or whatever, stuff about content quadrant, things that I teach on, you can resize it, whatever, move it around, shake it, flip it, reverse it, whatever Missy Elliott said in her song that time. So Ecamm Live, it is the only service that I use. Other ones are, they there. Other services are there. That's what I'll say. No, but use what you got to use. But Ecamm. Dyna.link/Ecamm. Storm. Let me tell you something. The level of excitement and joy about this camera being in white for me, because y'all know I'm plain Jane. I prefer everything to be black on black. But I'm like, I saw one pop up, and I can tell you the story of how I got this for a steal of a deal. A stupid steal of a deal. And do you know what was the only thing that was missing? The wind muff thing. So this is the one that actually is from the ZV-E10 or the ZV-1, I can't remember. And I was like, I wonder if that fits on the new camera, or if there's like, if it's too short or something, it fits. So if you have one or whatever, it works. Like I said, I did my test yesterday of 3 hours. I have to wait because there was an issue with the SD card. Let me tell y'all this real quick. Side note for the side note, because this is just, we don't have any tips to be teaching you today. So if you got questions, drop them. You got something you want to know, ask. Q&A today. Ask me anything. Put it that way. What I found out was people steal and lie when it comes to Amazon in a way I never would have thought. And if you do this, don't be scum. Okay? Don't be scum. If you are a loved one, have somebody that does this, stop it. So I got an SD card from Amazon. This was an open box item. It came to me. I opened that package, and it was a V30 card, so the regular UHS-1 SD cards, in a UHS-2 box. So somebody actually bought the real one, swiped them, it's like, oh, here's a return, it don't work, or it didn't work for me, or whatever. And it's like, nobody checked it at Amazon. I'm like, that's a steal. I'll take that. Yeah, it was a steal. The other person stole. So I'm like, you know what? I was like, you know what? Just give me a freaking SD card, the UHS-2, so I can test the SI on this camera. Everything else, though, no problem. I'm not having any problems. The same level of heat that everybody's talking about is the same level of heat that I felt on the ZV-1, the ZV-E10. I've never had any issues with those cameras. And so I think it's just a matter of, one, people trying to get quick views and hyping stuff up, jump on the hype train. Oh, I returned it. I bought it, this, that, whatever. You probably returned the underwear you bought too. So, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, I just think people with the non-intended use case, and let's screw the vlogging title, take that out of your vocabulary. It's not the only thing that this does. The ZV-1, the ZV-E10, A6400, all those were said to be vlogging, and you see them used for so many other use cases. Plus, you all know, as for a video content creator, it's not the only stuff that you would use your camera for. So take that out of the title, screw some of the stuff, and like, if you think it'll work for you, cool. If you know it won't, don't even waste your money. Like, seriously. But I bought this from one of these, I'm going to return it because it's not for people. And I was trading in my stuff because, like, I talked about it in the video, and I actually was kind of processing when I went through that last video at the time of me recording it. And I'm like, I feel like I kind of talked myself through the transition. I love APS-C. I found a home with it. You're looking at the ZV-E10 right now. But I'm like, I think for me personally, doesn't mean APS-C is not going to be a part of the channel. If the A6700 is the bee's knees Hall of Fame that we are all hoping for, it will find its way here, at least to test and to see what's what with it. I hope they don't screw this up. just being honest. So, so I'm thinking like, okay. So I'm like, I know because I've had this experience before, and this doesn't mean you need to upgrade, doesn't mean you need to change your cameras, but I'm just letting you know a little bit more about that process. When the A6600 came out, it was like, still not it, but it's like, fine, this is great. Because bigger battery, eye autofocus, cool. ZVE10 came out, and it's like A6600 for me, irrelevant, because the difference when you're creating, especially when you have one set up for this and one set up for that, the difference is you want one flow of thought when you're creating. You do not want to be back and forth and, oh, this one is different on that one. This one's different on that camera. Even if it's slight differences, it's any levels of friction just cause you to waste more time. And I'm not about that out here in these real and digital streets. So I switched to the ZVE10 and the ZV1. They're more similar. They're more alike. And I'm like, let's see what happens, because the way stuff is looking, it don't look like they're going to be showing as much love as I would like to the APS-C systems moving forward. Yeah, the A6700 is going to come out. Yeah, a ZVE10 Mark II is going to come out. But that may be it for real. So you got the FX30, ZVE10, ZVE10 Mark II, and A6700. I can't see them replacing the whole A6000 lineup, but it is what it is. And so is that going to be all of what I need or want? Probably. It could do the job, but I think there's one critical thing, like when you talk about cameras and you talk about investing in stuff and buying stuff, here's the biggest thing that everybody misses about content creation. Are you having fun? I think everybody missed that. And you have to also learn to filter out some of the vitriol that comes from people that never will buy something of what they're commenting on, which is ridiculous. And I see people, same people, it's like, if this ain't for you, why are you watching the videos about it just to leave the same comment or whatever? It's like, go have you some fun in life. Like, go have you some fun in life. What are you doing? And so you see people commenting and frustrated on the forums, and this is just about anything. It could be a freaking camera towel that comes out, and I'm like, it should have been microfiber. It's like, are you having fun with the stuff that you're doing? When the ZVE10 came out, I knew that was a camera I was going to be able to have a whole lot of fun with, and I was absolutely right. And so I don't only recommend Sony cameras to people, FYI. So if we have a conversation, if you say, well, I just really want to stick with Canon, we have that conversation. Or it's like, I really want to stick with Panasonic, we have that conversation. So sometimes you have to learn to filter out through some of the crap of what you see online. Everybody don't have the best intentions when they're posting. So FYI to that. All right. So say no to dark chocolate. That is what I am talking about out here in these real and digital streets. Okay. Just say no to dark chocolate. Made it. Good to see you, Alan Jones. Glad you're here. Saying very excited about hearing your journey with the new camera. So far, it's been great. I do have questions. I have a lot of questions that nobody has posed, that nobody, and this is why it's good to have creator friends so that you guys can talk about stuff, because your regular other friends, that's what I'm gonna classify them as, your non-creator friends, your other friends, they're not gonna get the stuff that we're about to talk about on the stream. The stuff like questions that y'all, they're not gonna get that life. They don't understand. Y'all have no idea about the posting schedule. And it's like, oh, I gotta post once per week, and they like, it's one time. You don't know. You don't know, Frank. Okay, you just don't know what it's like to post once a week, you know what I'm saying? So you got to talk to people that get it. And so, and having conversations with friends, it's like so many questions, so many things. And I get to an extent, to just be real here, this camera's become a little bit of a social pariah in the creator community. And again, I think it's a lot of people that this camera's not intended for. And if you remember, similar to when the ZV1 and the ZVE10 came out, they don't really fit the what that was for. And if you are really old enough in the creation and camera space, you also remember the A6400 when the M50 came out, when the M6 came out, when the M6 Mark II came out. That's a different lane. But when the original M6 and stuff came out, when the M3, you know, was around, when I had that camera, everybody talks about it, like, especially when it's an entry-level camera kind of a thing, like it's not going to be great for wedding filmmakers. It's not going to be great for videographers or what they would have hoped to have seen. And very rare is it where a camera company actually does what you would hope that they would see in a way that is like socially well received. So all of them have had their moments of everybody's like, when the E10 came out, go watch those launch day videos. Everybody's like, well, it's kind of plasticky and it's not going to be great for this. And as a filmmaker, I'm just like, go get you a freaking cinema something or whatever or get you the GH6, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Get the box cameras if that's what works for you, or don't cover it, kind of a thing. So you have to learn to filter. But that is why I'm here, my friends, to share this from a video content creator's perspective, from a content marketer's perspective, from a content creating entrepreneur's perspective. How well is this going to work for us? How well is this going to work? So far, it's fine. Right now, I have a fan on. My house always is cooler, whether it's the winter or the summer, because there's a ton of electronics. So all these people sitting in 89-degree rooms with no air, no wind, the air conditioner's not on. Whose dungeon do you work out of? That does not seem comfortable to me. And if you are of the plus size variety, your back fat would be sweating in said environments. If my back fat is sweating to that extent, we are not doing that. You know what I'm saying? It's like some stuff just don't make sense. So I'll have a ton of content coming out on that. I said the A6700 as well as the Eve 10 moving forward consistently, but I just think it's ridiculous. Saying hi from Canada, how do you choose your content? That's a really great question. It is based on identifying and knowing who your ideal target audience is. When you know who your ideal target audience is, you can always figure out what they're struggling with, where they're at, and what is the best approach to having different issues that they're dealing with addressed. Is the best way to produce this in a micro content format, like, you know, stories, shorts, whatever? Is a better way to approach this in a long tutorial that is exhaustive and step-by-step? Is the best way to approach this in a super short 3-minute or a live stream like today? So when it comes to that, I mean, you can ask more detailed question, more specific to maybe what's more pressing around this question. But that's kind of like how you approach it, per se. Saying one of the reasons I went full frame A7C is no overheating, no recording limits, no wondering what lens to get, and doing crazy math, the 1-to-1 crop factor. That's understandable. Crop factors never bothered me. And here's the biggest secret of it all with using APS-C that I enjoyed. Again, learning what to listen to and what to ignore. Everybody compares APS-C cameras to full frame or micro four thirds cameras, like the Panasonic GH5 when it came out and stuff like that, as well as Olympus or OM Systems now, or Digital Solutions or whatever the hell they're called. They would compare it to full frame. It's like, well, this lens is this comparison to the weather. It's like, why do it matter if I don't plan to use that system or that camera? Why does that matter? Well, it's a 35 millimeter equivalent. It's like, what does that matter? Who cares? Is 16 millimeters on a ZV-E10 or A6400 wide enough for me in a small space? Yes or no? Is it? Is 12 millimeters, because it's wider, are those few millimeters, is that a big difference or a little difference? Yes or no? You know what I'm saying? It's like, get to the freaking point of it all. And it's like, well, on a full frame, it's like, what? It's like, what are we talking about? So when it comes to stuff like that, I don't think when I'm using I have to make the differences now, but just using like the ZV-E10 or A6400, A6600 or whatever, I'm not thinking, even when I use the M50, I'm not thinking about what the full frame equivalent is, because what difference do it make? That's like saying, well, if you drive your 4-door sedan car compared to a tractor trailer or compared to an SUV or compared to a freaking semi-truck, you're going to get, why are we comparing it to a do I own a semi-truck? Do I need to get a semi-truck, or does that matter? That is, otherwise there's no relation. And that's kind of how it is. It's like you own a sedan. You're driving to work. Is the gas mileage good or bad in this car? And it's like, well, compared to a semi-truck, you're actually going to get, why are we comparing it to semi-trucks if we're not ever going to drive one? That's the differences like between APS-C and full. So you really don't have to do the math or do the comparisons. It's like, is 35 millimeter where I need to be close or far? How does that matter on the camera? The hell with everything else. We don't make those kind of comparisons between anything else. But it's like, well, the difference between tennis shoes and dress shoes, like, it doesn't exist anywhere else other than camera space when people are doing that. After you decide what you want to go with, APS-C, full frame, whatever, and even with a full frame, is 16 millimeters on a camera for like ZV A7C, like you said you use, or ZV-E1 or A7S3 or whatever. Is that wide? Yes or no? Because we're not comparing full frame to medium format. So it's like, that's what I'm like, y'all got to learn what to ignore and what to listen to when it comes to some of that stuff. Because it gets to be annoying as hell. Saying, have you messed with Adobe Generative Fill yet? I did today, and it's interesting. So I'm not an Adobe person. They have some incredible tools. Like, I'm not knocking them at all. It's not any reason of a negative in that sense. I'm just not an Adobe person. I use Final Cut Pro. I stay with Final Cut Pro. I don't edit my videos anymore though. So, and I haven't for a couple years now. So I'm not trying to be involved in the editing process in that way. That's why you don't see a bunch of editing stuff. I'm not trying to edit. I don't want to do that. I'm not talking about, well, but the difference between Final Cut Pro and DaVinci, use one, go learn it, and then create. I want to get past some of that stuff. I do think Adobe, though, and put this out there, they are one of the best companies for when it comes to the creative process and making stuff and listening based on people that actually use it to make stuff better. I think the plugins like the podcast, like the Autopod program that came out, I'm paying attention to what's going on, but I'm probably not going to try it because I'm not going to use Adobe. I'm not going to use it. Would my team use it and then I'll have feedback or something from it? Probably, but I don't use it, so I don't have an opinion from me testing, trying it, or using it per se. But I think Adobe as a whole, though, they are the closest to like getting it done from like the podcast audio thing with the figure and all that stuff. I think they're doing a great job. So yeah, I think it's dope. Probably not gonna try it, to be honest with you, or most of the stuff that they use, or probably pass a little bit. But I think it's dope. I think all their stuff is worth watching and paying attention to. Exploring Canada, good to see you. Glad that you're here, saying hello, Diana and friends. Finally, a free Friday when I can join you live. Glad that you are here. Said nice, love getting great deals. Steal of a deal, my brother. Steal of a freaking deal. Wait, saying stop it, get help. Shoot. Saying, what are the chances Sony jumps straight to the A6900? Sorry, I couldn't resist. It could be the naming scheme. I don't know if so here's what I think about when like the A6900, 67. They could. I just don't think, because there's one person that's commenting like, I just want an A6400 upgrade. I'm like, it already exists. It was called the A6600 like in 2019 or something. And so, 2019 or something. But I'm like, I don't think they're going to do like the 6000, 63, 65 trio. And then you have the 61, 64, and 6600. I think it's just going to be, like you said, it could be 67. It could be the 6900 or what have you. Then you got the ZV line creator style, more centric camera versus the 60 whatever something name being something that's more creative based. Hell, they just need to do A7000, make it the Bee's Knees Hall of Fame like we always wanted it to be. And go from there, have the hybrid body, and stop with the multiple variations of it. But who knows who's going to do what. You got the ZV camera, so that takes care of anything else that would be more creator-centric, entry-level-ish of why somebody would want a camera. And then you have now this, which is kind of weird. I thought this was weird, honestly, the ZV-E1. I'm like, I thought we would have had an A7C Mark II before anything like this. I never would have guessed this. I never would have guessed it right because I'm like, the ZV-E10, I thought it was just going to be that lane of APS-C creator-style camera. And then that's all they're going to do, ZV-1 and then ZV-E10-ish cameras. I didn't think we was going to have a full frame this. I thought the A7C was it. So I'm like, well, where's the A6700 one? And then where's the A7C Mark II? And then it's like, this one popped up. And I'm like, okay, let's see what that's talking about. But it has, I can tell you personally, no hype, no excitement, just because it's new kind of a thing. For me personally, all the reasons that I loved about the ZV-E10 and the ZV-1 And then the things that you want to pull and pick from of the A7S Mark III or whatever is this camera. It could not, in my opinion, so far, I'm not finding a reason why this wouldn't be the ideal camera for a video content creator. And if you want it a little bit cheaper, you have the ZV-E10. And then when the ZV-E10 Mark II comes out, you'll have that. You want hybrid because you want to get more into the creative side. It's going to be A6000, 7000, 69, whatever, 4739 carry to 1 divided by whatever the algebraic equation is. Because figure out the names. Gosh darn. That's why I said Storm. I'm not doing the E1, E10, ZV-1. Everybody's saying the wrong names in all the videos. And I feel the pain for them. It's so stupid. So, and I'm just like, good grief. But it's a lot of even some goodness of the A7C Mark II that makes me question, what is that camera going to have? If this one has a bunch, is it just going to be the better camera? Will that one have a fan? And so now now you have the difference between not heavy use, more heavy use with a fan or whatever. Kind of, I'm like, I don't know. It's getting a little confusing, to be honest. I don't know. Saying I'm one of those that bought it and returned it. Cannot handle filming my garage for an hour in the 79. I make long form content about man stuff like knives, man caves, etc. I definitely wouldn't put it in that kind of environment. Like I think the line is real fine. And I think that's the difference. The features and the settings. So I get it from where you coming from. The features, the settings, for the price, you would think that it should be able to meet all those standards, but it's not the hybrid body design. There's some situations I wouldn't put the ZV-E10 or even the ZV-1 in that kind of a stuff. You know what I'm saying? For that very reason. So if it's like something where you hike in the freaking mountains, you have humidity and all this different stuff or whatever, moisture, you probably want a better, more robust camera. So something like the A7 IV is close. And then past that, you are looking at something that's more, something more of a hybrid body. That's why I think the A6700 will fit that a little bit better. Hopefully the A7C as well. Maybe they'll have a fan. Maybe they'll have weather sealing, stuff like that. But I can tell you, someone not doing man things, the hell I will be in an 80-degree room and the garages are hell. I don't even want to go out there to get a freaking paper towel or what. Like, no, the hell with that. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's me. You get into, I think it is a fine line of like, no, I wouldn't recommend it for that. You gonna be in a hot environment or something like that already? No, definitely not. I wouldn't say the E10 even in that. Probably could be all right, but it's like, you probably do want something a little bit more better built or whatever. And I think we're just getting into the season of cameras where for the specs to still hit the body size design and all that stuff, we need fans in the camera. I know Jason, can't think of Jason's last name, but he just did one about the fan from Alibaba this morning or whatever. I get it, but I think like Fuji may have the best approach to this, where it's just like, we're not building one in, but here's an external one because we already know, kind of a thing. A little ridiculous, you feel like, but I just feel like that's where we're at in the camera space now. If you don't want the big bulky, it needs a fan. We've been seeing that in a lot of cameras. I ain't doing the big body cameras. Sony sent me the A7S Mark III. I got to try the ZV-1F. I got to try I got the Nikon Z30. You ain't seen them on the channel, have you? I'm like, no. Number one, I ain't carrying that big old weighted thing. Hell no. It's too heavy. That's me. If you got bigger hands, whatever, you don't mind, go for the gold. But I'm just thinking about me personally, not channel, but like me personally. I'm like, no, because I don't want to carry that. I think about my last trip that I just came back from last month. Spent a couple weeks working. I did an event with Ray Edwards in Spokane, Washington. My luggage got left. They canceled flights. It was a bunch of crazy stuff. And I got stuck. All I had was my backpack and my camera gear, and then I was able to buy some clothes to put it in the top or whatever. And I'm thinking like, Would I want to also carry around a heavy ass camera? No. I'm sorry, I'm not going through the freaking. I'm in conference rooms. I'm in offices. I'm at, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's air conditioning on. I'm not hot unless I do get the Whitney Houston lip sweat thing or whatever. It's like, so if I'm getting in a hot environment, I'm probably about to leave. I'm not outside in direct heat like that. Why? Like, you know what I'm saying? If your work requires it, photographer, videographer, good luck to you. Different camera. But I think for this one, for most people, sitting in a home office, doing whatever, you're fine. Again, I'm putting it through my, all my tests and all that. Brought to you by Airplanes of America. And shoot. But, yeah, I don't know, just different use case. But I agree with you for doing what you're doing. Marine X, go for the goat. Saying facts, I'm a fun photographer. Yeah, you gotta. I think it just, if it don't make sense, don't get it. That's like people that was trying to use the ZV-1 for like, for real wedding filmmaking stuff. And I'm like, all right. So, you know, it's like past the point. It's like, okay. Live production tips and tools. Saying hello, Diana. Hello, good to see you. And this stream is brought to you by Ecamm. With the magic of Ecamm, we can come right on in here saying, hey, white chocolate lovers, and we save the day. Go to diana.link/Ecamm, and you too can change offensive comments in your live stream. Muhammad, good to see you, my brother. Glad that you are here. And I'm so glad to see that you're coming since, hey, white chocolate lovers. I appreciate that. I'm so glad that you are here, my friend. I'm so glad. Said, have I had a chance to test this one? Yeah, it's here. For those of you just joining the stream or whatever, it's here. This is it. Storm edition. Okay, all I need is an X-Men sticker. We in there like swimwear. And I had the Tamron. I posted on the community tab after the live stream, but I had the Tamron 20mm f2.8. Oh, love those lenses. Tamron does a really great job, but something was wrong with the focusing motor, so I'm waiting to get the return lens or whatever in exchange back. So yeah. So yes, I've tested it for a couple hours. So 3 hours, 422, 10-bit, whatever, all the stuff. And here's what I did. It wasn't just in this room. Like I said, I live in air conditioner. I don't know if you guys know, if you've ever met me in person, I have a little back fat, you know, got a little auntie arm swing happening, right? Whitney Houston lip sweat is a real thing. Okay, it's a real condition. It's called being hot. Shoot. I'm not sitting in here sweating for nobody, for no test, under any circumstances. So here's what I did. Because I have a lot of other electronics, a ton of stuff that goes on to make life happen. So it needs to be the air conditioners on. It needs to be a fan on so I can be cool, because I have a heating pad on, massaging heating pad on. So I don't want to be hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's dumb to me. Number two, what I did do was put it on my bed, on the comforter, in whatever, because some people were saying, like, as they went through the menus that it got hot or whatever. I was setting up the camera. Once I was done, I set it on my bed, and I went from 100% battery to, it got down to 52%. And I just let it sit there on, only thing that was open was the screen on, lens on it. And I just let it sit in the 422 10-bit thing, just so at a standby mode with it not going to sleep or nothing. On a comforter, how did it handle? No overheating symbols or nothing. Then I took it immediately from there, and I just set it down like I just set it on the table here, and I just hit record, and I just continued to work to the point I forgot about it. Went back, battery's dead. You'll see it on my YouTube stories, not the part where it's on my bed, but right after I put it up and it was running, that battery died. Put another battery in there that was fresh immediately afterwards. So the only downtime was just enough to switch the batteries, and then started the recording again. And then I got tired, and I'm like, so it's 3 hours into this. I'm not seeing the overheating symbol. So that's why I say I think for normal use cases for entrepreneurs, if you do find you're doing something more heavy, you are in more heated environments or something, you probably will need something with better build quality. That would exist with anything. If you had the E10, you're like, oh, I'm getting ready to do nature walks in the freaking mountains or whatever. Probably be all right on nice days or something. I wouldn't want to be out in the weather when it's super cold or something. It's not built for that. You probably do want to get more of a hybrid style body design. So I would check it for something like that just to see, you know what I'm saying? But it's probably going to be my ideal camera. It has so many things in here that I ain't heard nobody talk about. Disney's Hall of Fame. Said, just call me Olu. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. What is going on, Simply Obs? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Saying, I love the mics on the ZV series. One less thing to worry about. It's hard to, so that was something I tested late yesterday too. So the audio things on here, first thing I wanted to know was something I personally wanted, and I've mentioned this before in the videos, the preamp in the ZV E10 for the headphones sucks. Like the sound is very loud. So you can't tell if your microphone is actually picking up that much noise, or was it the preamp that was picking up that much noise, especially like you're outside of your normal environment where it's controlled. And so I was like, I wonder how this one is. So with the onboard mic, and then with my Movo VXR10 shotgun mic I've been using for forever, I wanted to just see what the noise difference was. And it is really good. It's hard to convey that because we're so used to the mic sucking on the inside. And I'm like, dang, I really want to know what they did with this one, like for real, because it is different. And I'm like, this is weird. I'm like, it's really weird. And so the other thing that's really cool about this, the preamp for the headphone port is quieter than in the ZV-E10. So if I have I have the fan on, you have like your computer fan, you hear all these little environmental noises, air conditioner comes on, goes off, stuff like that, phone in the background, all that. Plugging my headphones into the E10 and I'm listening. I'm like, okay, I'm used to this noise level or whatever. Plug it into the E10, way quieter. So I'm gonna have to test that and see what the difference in the decibels are. And so here's another thing. I just ran this till the battery went down. Probably won't be able to see that. You see, oh, there you go. You can see it now. So battery life is about to go down. I just had it on all day. I haven't turned it off. So still just people saying like, well, if you just leave it sitting in the thing, it gets overheated. It's been on. I did an interview, social media news. What was that? Jeff and I were talking, and I'm gonna get to the comments in a second. Yeah, did that earlier. I picked the camera up, was showing that. You know, those are watch Friends of the Vlog channel. It'll be on there. No problem. So that's why I said you gotta do your own tests. But that mic, Mr. Camera Junkie, is the bee's knees. And is this new camera better than the ZV-1? Because they all seem to overheat. I think I missed it. Did you go over the specs already? Hey, Diana, how are you? Well, that Creative Simmer, good to see you. Glad that you're here. So as far as overheating is concerned in cameras, the only thing I remember ever having my E10 overheat and actually turn off was when we were driving up to New York in 2021. Doc and I was in the car. I put it up to like capture some of that talk that we were doing, and it was already running for who knows how long. So I just had it up there. But what I did was the Bluetooth was on, it's sitting in, the dash was hot. So yeah, it just was like, yeah, I'm tired, it's hot, not ideal. Hitting like even the indirect sunlight or whatever was not great. So I'm like, oh, my bad. So I picked it up and I'm like, yeah, I did overheat this. So took it down and then let it cool off for a little bit and then was able to record. That's the only overheating I have from events, long form recording, live streams. I've had the camera on literally all day. I've left it on for multiple days in a row when I test it. Like when I test my cameras, I battle test them. From the ZV-1 and the ZV-E10, I've not had any problems. So far, in the few days that I've had this, I have not seen the overheating symbol once. I'm not babying this. I'm not like, oh, well, let me put it closer to a fan or let me put it right under the air conditioner port. Like I'm not doing anything that I wouldn't do with any other camera. Sitting on the table, I'm not trying to get more something, so I'm not opening the port doors or any of that. The one thing I will say is, like, as you saw, or may have seen, because the cable hangs down, I don't need to close the door. The door's never been closed on the A6400. It's not closed on the ZV-10. When I'm streaming, you see me at an event, it's the same thing. USB streaming and stuff like that, Doc has been testing that. I think he said the only thing that he has was the door open, and that's not uncommon. So I'm not seeing any overheating. I'm not saying that people are lying, but I am saying that I think in the non-intended use case, don't go on a freaking Sahara Desert nature hike with the, kind of a thing. It's not an action, you know what I'm saying? It's not a hybrid built action like the A7 IV. You could probably throw that mug at somebody and it'd be fine. But I've not had any overheating. This is my personal experience. And I've been just running this camera. Battery about to die now because I just been running this camera. The whole time I did the interview, I just let it record. Let it sit here, got what I needed for the record. I'm not having those issues, so I'm not sure. I need to wait until my other SD card to test the SI, the highest thing or whatever. Otherwise, I'm not seeing any issues. And so I think for most regular content creating entrepreneur use cases, it'll be fine. So is it better though? In some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. Because better, it depends. Like if we're talking like, is the sensor better and the quality that can be produced out of the camera better than the ZV-E10? Yes. If you don't honestly have the skills to do all of what this Netflix approved style sensor could do, it won't matter. You know what I'm saying? So it's a limit to that. The preamps, like I said, just saying before, the headphone preamps, when you're listening and you want to make sure like your audio and stuff is straight, that is way better than the ZV-E10. ZV-1 don't have it, but that's the thing. But I think if your use case is just regular stuff, maybe you'll be fine. I don't know if, like, you got to quantify better for real. Let me plug this in because the battery is dying on me and I'm not finna get up to charge the other one. So I'm gonna put this on the charger. I'm not gonna turn it off. And we're gonna see. So now it's plugged up via US, battery symbols on to die. And so I'm gonna plug it into the USB cable. Oh, did I forget to plug that one in? I'm gonna have to figure something out. Or get my battery bank and see what happens. But I think I'm gonna have to plug this up. Anyway, but better, it depends on what you're doing, my dear. You can ask more detailed questions if you want. Jamie Lynn, good to see you. Glad that you are here. And I did see your comment that you replied. I just don't remember if I replied to the reply. So I have to catch up on that. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Saying, well, yes, we need fans. We need fans in the fan. Yeah, I think we just, like I said, we're at that season of creating where cameras need fans. I don't think we're going to get around that, honestly. For all the specs, we're talking a small camera body. Like, this is, to give you context, because I also was wondering about this as well. To give you context, for those of you that wonder how much bigger is this versus the ZV-E10, real fine millimeters difference. Yeah, you have the bigger battery, so this obviously is bigger. But as far as the width, they're, like I said, it's real fine millimeters of a difference. So it's not like some super wide camera or whatever. It feels really comparable, and it doesn't feel annoying to carry around. I hate it when I went to San Diego and I took the A7C with me because and again, this is just me personally, I just was getting annoyed with the heaviness. And the A7 IV for me is heavy to carry around. It's like, if it is not something I could carry around all day, not be annoyed that it's in my bag, feel this weight kind of a thing. This is comparable to the ZV-E10. If you like are concerned with weight, I weigh everything down to the grams. I'm like, how heavy is it really? I'm like, oh, it's really lightweight. Is it though? No, but this is really comparable. think I do have a battery right here. Actually, I do. So let's swap the batteries. But yeah, so better, yes. Battery life, better. Oh, yeah. Friends of the ZVE10. I have my own system, and I'm going to compare the two and talk about it. But I will say one of the most gratifying things so far is being able to create way longer or not have to swap the batteries. Like, this has been running since this morning. It's been running since this morning on that battery, and it just went out at 12:35 now. So now I got the new one in here. This one is back on. Is it, and heat comparison, because I know people are concerned with that. Heat comparison wise, what I notice is the same level of heat. I did the exact same thing with the E10 that I did with the E1 from the overheating test. Like, it's sitting on my bed, let it sit in 422 10-bit and be on. Screen is on, outside of it being like this, which is a normal camera orientation. No ports, no doors open. Outside of the microphone port when I was testing the headphones after I finished setting it up. Oh, the setup process, y'all. When I show you how I set up my my buttons and stuff, like I said, it's stuff people are not talking about. And I said, it's become a little bit of a social pariah online, but I think it's going to be one of them things like the M50 was, like the A6400 was, like the E10 has become, where people don't necessarily like it initially when it first comes out. We don't have another camera for it to come out yet to compare it to. I think we're different this season because the A6700 is supposed to hit in July. So maybe in another month, literally 30 days, we'll know something closer to it, or it'll be out by then, or at least announced. But same exact heat that you feel, the warmth, I'm saying heat, but the same exact warmth that you feel when your camera is on. This is on the ZVE10 right now. A6400 is not here anymore. She passed away. As in, I sold her. I'm like making that full transition. So I'll probably get the A6700. I already know I want a second one of these. I already know I do. Same warmth that you feel on one camera, you feel it on the other one. It was neck and neck. And I just don't know if it's from so many of the creators that get these cameras on launch day are so out of the ideal target audience sector for this. They're used to not maybe feeling anything because their camera has a fan. If you're using an FX3, bigger body, or is A7S3, or A7R Mark 4 or 5, or even a 3, you probably aren't feeling anything. Compared to this, you do feel it. So if you're used to using the ZV-1, ZV-E10, A6400, that same warmth, that's the same warmth that I feel on this camera. There's no difference. And I go live, and the air comes down to 73. That's what, for Veronica, like I said earlier today, if my back fat is starting to sweat, something is awry in the room. Because I'm like, I'm not finna be hot and record videos. I'm just not. People like, turn the air conditioner off. Turn the refrigerator off. What life are you living? I'm not finna let my steaks go bad because of a video I'm finna make. Like, let's be real. I just don't think that's, I don't think it's legit. I told y'all before, I got this heating pad on my back, and I do want the heat from that for, like, comfort, dealing with the stage 4 endometriosis stuff, but I ain't finna be hot. I ain't finna be sweating like that. Who does that? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. Content creating entrepreneurs, we work in offices. The office has air conditioner. The office air conditioner is on. You may have a fan that sits off to the side if you have personal summers, or you just get hot, or you sit next to a window or whatever. I'm not doing anything different than I've done with anything else. I'm not having any issues. So I think some of that is non-ideal target audience. And when you do have, like Marine X was saying, like he is doing man stuff. He is in the man cave. He is in the garage. And yeah, if you are doing something, I probably would want something more durable. That's not going to be the E1. The features make you want to get it and try it. Maybe an A7C Mark II would be ideal, but you're looking into something that is more of a hybrid camera. You know what I'm saying? Even the A7 IV-ish cameras, those A7R cameras, those are great. Because they're hybrid body designs, built for bigger stuff, weather sealing, all that, whatever. This is not that party. You know, so it's a different kind of camera. That's all I'm saying. Brian Jones saying, thinking out loud regarding Sony's seemingly random product direction, it could be a component acquisition strategy in which they receive bulk discounts for acquiring new parts. That could be it. Am I in those internal conversations with Sony? Yeah, we're actually talking about building. I have no idea, Brian. I don't, but I hear you talking out loud about it. It seems odd, but I think what's happening is a little bit of a change in the old guard and the new guard. And what I mean by that is some of us that's been creating for a while, some of us that have acquired cameras, or maybe you started creating for a business and you did uncover a passion of photography or videography or something like that. And you wanted to take a different approach, like doing YouTube in some aspect opens up so many doors in the sense that you want to do other things. Maybe you want to be a video editor, or you figure out graphic design is your thing, or you love building websites. So you find like that creative gene gets put to work and other wheels start moving. And so the old guard, being those of us that have been creating for some years, we've moved on into other things than when we first got started. And the camera world of 2016 and 17 is not the camera world of today. When the 80D was the jam, when the Canon 70D was the jam, and people was like, no, I'm still keeping my Canon 60D because I just manually focusing, like it's different conversations. You can touch any camera and it's great. Literally just for the most part, any camera. It's only these last few iterations where you see Panasonic getting the phase detection autofocus finally. But now I'm like, dang, the door wide open. Fuji been doing it with the feature specs and stuff, and now door's wide open because they like bring the hybrid body design back. But the newer cameras now are not as ideal for those of us that have been creating for a little while, because you have whole other, everybody only thinks about Gen Z. They're adults. They about to be doing some whole other stuff, and some of them don't mind using their phone because it's not any downward something to them. They don't care. So it needs to have something like it needs to have a touch screen. Why can't it transfer faster from my phone to my camera? Why can't I do this? That's dumb, I'm not using it. I'm just going to use my phone or something else. So, you know what I'm saying? That logic is not this, that logic chain is not the same. And then you have, I don't remember what the generation, I think it's like Gen 0 or something. I'm not really sure what it's called underneath them. They're like preteens and making bank, still doing creative work and stuff. They're in a whole other different stratosphere. So I don't think, honestly, what some of these brands are doing, they have to find a way to hold on to the people that spend money for their work or have bandwidth because they're a business or something or whatever. They're a creator that invests. That needs to make sense, but not as much as like use your phone and us type cameras. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when if you pay attention, they talk about like the zoom range being so important and comparing that to a smartphone, even with multiple lenses and stuff like that. Ease of use needs to be more of a conversation. I think Tony and Chelsea Northrup in their last podcast said, I think it's called Dear Sony. They've been talking about this stuff for a long time. Everybody's still paying attention to millennials and Gen Zers late. They late in any level of marketing. It ain't about us. Excuse me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think it's gonna be some rough patch in there for that reason. So as such, they create new cameras to sell off some inventory to the people that want whatever something. Yeah, no skin off their back for real. But I think it's more to it than that. I don't think it's just like, oh, we got old parts laying around and here's our recycle strategy of let's use the sensor from this and this, that, or whatever. I don't think that's ever been a thing in business for any of these brands because it's been around for a really long time. I just think people think that's all they're doing. I don't think it's that simple. The Jets, brother. Oh, real quick, my bad. Let me tell you how out of loop I am. I forgot which one of my buttons was the one for, here we go. Oh. Trombones for me, not for you. Thank you for the super chat. My bad, I didn't see that. I thought I saw something pop up, but I appreciate that. Saying sold a Mac Studio and returned the ZVE1, so now I have about $4,500. My current A cam is the FX3, B cam A600, A6600. Would you buy another FX3 or two bodies of something else? What I would do is So it's twofold. Because again, you have the older cameras, older menu systems and stuff based on the kind of content that you said you make. You are going to get annoyed to an extent. You're going to get annoyed that this camera is not exactly like the newer one you just bought or whatever. If you FX3, solid, amazing camera. A6600 is cheaper. The value of that camera's difference, even in the last year, is about $700 to $800 difference in a trade-in value of what you usually would get. And if you go to Tony and Chelsea Northrup's channel, when they do partnerships with KEH, you can get like 15% extra on your trade-in. So pro tip, if y'all ever trying to trade something in, so between mpb.com, keh.com, and then sometimes B&H, but B&H don't give you that much, so it's really between mpb.com and well, I don't know about Adorama, because you got to send everything in, and then they figure out the value and decide if you want to do it or not, and then you have to wait if you want your stuff back, or whatever, if you want to use it for a trade-in for something else. I don't like that. I just want to know how much, to a $10 to $20 difference in price if you do need to make an adjustment after you get it and get it for trade-in. But the trade-in value for A6600, if you're going to get rid of it now, while the value is higher than what it has been. Because once the A6700 comes out next month, the value is going to decrease even more. And so, because a lot of people are going to be trading their stuff in. So they like, we're getting a bunch. This is not rare. Or, you know what I'm saying? People aren't trying to buy it. We're not making that much money off. It's too many. It's going to saturate the market. That and ZVE 10s. So I would say FX3 is probably going to be ideal. You can probably pick up one used or open box or something like that and go that route. That way the menu systems are the same. Any updates are synonymous, are the same, which they're not minding to upgrade that. But I would dump the A6600. Don't pick up another ZVE1 and go with the FX3 as the A and the B cam. Let it be the same thing. The system's the same, lens the same, your setup is the same, profile user stuff is the same. Any updates and stuff will be consistent, so you're not having to think what one has and what one doesn't. And then when you trade or you want to do something else, or something more ideal comes to market that you want to go for, you're only making that singular switch between the two or whatever. That's what I would do. I wouldn't touch an A6600. Maybe an A6700 becomes a thing, and then at that point it's a little bit more comparable, in my opinion. So, and even after listening to you all this time, I don't know the answer to this. Do you use TubeBuddy, vidIQ, or Morning Fame, or do you have any recommendations? I love TubeBuddy. I think vidIQ is dope, and I haven't used Morning Fame in many a years. I think vidIQ, and this is just my personal opinion, I saw the writing on the wall a long time ago, and unfortunately, what I've seen is vidIQ is keeping their hand on the pulse of their people better. TubeBuddy's community is amazing. It's great. It's a dope tool. But what I'm finding is that they're not and haven't been keeping up as well as with the things that are helpful for creative growth. So what started as a 30 to 60 day test with vidIQ has just become a regular thing. And I stopped using TubeBuddy. I have it, but I stopped using it because it's not been keeping up. You know what I'm saying? Like with, so the AI generator was a thing for a long time now with vidIQ. The systems, the way they're approaching stuff, the way they're introducing creative tools, or, you know, they just are doing a better job software-wise, and they've been doing that. And with the things that they have planned, it's better. Maybe cost more than TubeBuddy or whatever, but what's the value exchange on your time and efficiencies to get what you need done to make the videos that make you money or bring you more clients and stuff like that? Obviously being more strategic about it, but... So I've been using vidIQ for maybe the last 2 years now. I think it's going on 2 years. So I like them. Morning Fame I haven't touched in a long time because he just didn't keep up with stuff. So there you are. Saying Flight ZVE1 requesting permission. Listen, that's exactly what it was. Ain't been a plane. so daggone loud in a long time like that. And I promise you, they was like, "Oh, that you get that notification, Diana finna stream today's Friday Helpcast." Yeah, buzz over the house real quick. So that's not what. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. You said white chocolate. Don't try to correct me, cause I can correct you with Ecam. Saying changing his comment was P comment. I'm trying to tell you, trying to help. I'm trying to help this brother live right. Saying what lens is that on using? Girl, you ain't gonna believe this. You're not gonna believe what I'm about to tell you. This is the 16 to 50 kit lens right now. Do you want to know why? It's because my Tamron 20mm f2.8 that actually is a full frame lens. Something was wrong with the focusing motors, and so it needed to be sent back. And so I dropped it off yesterday to mail it back, and then I'm supposed to be getting my new one in the mail. So I'm like, well, I need something to record with right now. When I said I'm switching it to full frame, I meant like a full conversion personally. So all I have is my 35 f1.8 that I use with the ZVE10. The Sigma 16, I'm not going to need that because I'm not going to be creating predominantly with whatever. I'm not going to carry it around. I'm not going to use it for recording talks or none of that. And because the full frame, all that stuff works E-mount. So I'm like, whatever I get for full frame will work fine for APS-C. I'm not keeping a bunch of stuff around. Number one, strategically, the value will continue to drop on all of the stuff y'all might trade in. If you're going to trade, do it now. Because once the A6700 comes out, it's already too late. Because everybody else is trading in their stuff. It's now the market floods with a bunch of used cameras. So now the price drops. If you go get a quote on your stuff today, you'll find that the value's higher than what it will be in a month. Because it'll be everybody trading their stuff in. So I'm like, I know better. Let me get ahead of the curve. I got rid of all my APS-C cameras and lenses too, minus the 35 f1.8, which is my favorite lens. So I'm like, I'm not getting rid of that. The kit lens is always great to have for anything. So I have that. I didn't get the kit lens with the ZVE10, but I do want one. And then I'm gonna have the 20mm. So this is my lens lineup for what I'm looking at. Tamron 20mm f2.8 daily driver. What is it? Tamron 17 to 28 f2.8, and then the Tamron 28 to 75 f2.8. Those are going to be my lenses that I'll use. And I'm looking at what prime lens that I want that would be. I have to figure out if 35 or 45 or 50 is more of what I want, or 40 or 50 is what I want for a prime lens like this on my camera, on my E1. So I just have to see. But the kit lens, the freaking kit lens, it don't look as bad as you think. I promise you that, because the lens is super sharp. Not the lens, the sensor is super sharp. But I'm like, I need something to do the BTS stuff today with. And I'm like, I was so mad to drop that Tamron 20mm f2.8 up, because that mug looks amazing. Absolutely freaking amazing. Saying, do you plan to get any other lenses? So yeah, it's 14mm at 16. Hell no, not those. The 14mm is dope. Too big and too heavy. I'm not carrying that around. There's a toddler on my back. I'm not doing that. Number two, the 16 to 35 f4 would be dope. That would replace what my 10 to 18 f4 was. But the reason why is because I found in creating, I don't like f4. It's fine for when you're out and about and traveling. And I might get one just because it is small and lightweight, and that's my jam. But I would want a 16 to 35 like that, but in an f2.8. As close as I could get to that is the Sigma 16 to 28 f2.8 lens. And I do want to try that to compare it to the 17 to 28 just to see how I feel. Between the two, I already know I love the Tamron lenses. I've tried them. I've used them. I like them a lot. I want to try the Sigma 16 to 28, and if that works better, then I'll just go the Sigma version of those. But I want an f2.8 when I'm traveling. I'm not trying to blur the background while I'm out and about and stuff. But an f2.8 is great over an f4 for me. Don't matter full frame APS-C, it doesn't matter, because the f4 is great on a day-to-day kind of thing. You're out and about, but it's really weird when you're creating videos in a hotel room and in a hotel space. That little bit of a difference is a huge difference. It doesn't seem like it might be, but between an f4 and an f2.8, like when I'm in these hotel and event spaces, it just makes a world of difference. So that would cut me down from carrying two. So I'm probably going to go to 16 to 28, Sigma 16 to 28, f2.8, or the Tamron 17 to 28, and the Sigma seems more in my space of the how heavy I want it to be and how much I wouldn't mind carrying this around, doing stuff or whatever. So I'm probably gonna go that route, but that's what I want. And the Tamron 20 millimeter f2.8. So I'm going f2.8, not an f4 route. Saying, what's your favorite lightest FE lens? So far would have been the Tamron 20 millimeter f2.8 that I have had. I don't know, because I'm waiting. Freaking motors are messed up, so I had to send it back and waiting for mine to come back. So it'll probably be Monday, Tuesday next week at the earliest, maybe Wednesday of next week. But I'll post a picture on the community tab on YouTube. But I really like that one, 20 millimeter f2.8. Would it be ideal if it was like a 17, like the, what was it? Sigma that just came out with a Sigma 17 f4 lens. So it's going to be a prime lens, for sure. Oh, and I forgot how many good, small, and compact full frame lenses that there are. I'll have to do a video talking about some, and then those that I have and that I'll get. But it's actually quite a few out there that's really good, great quality. And like I said, my jam right now is f2.8 or better. I don't really want to deal with the f4 jam like that. I may get one, we'll see, but we'll see. So what I mean by better is, does it have more stable? Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yes. And did they increase the specs? Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes, and more yes. So let's do a spec rundown real quick. Let me pull this up on the screen thingy, and I can answer your question specifically. Quick snapshot, whatever. 4K 120p is being advertised in 1080 240 frames per second. It's supposed to come in this firmware update this month, but it's 4K 60 currently in the camera, 422 10-bit, so better color space and all that stuff. 15 stops of dynamic range, AI auto reframing, yes. S-Log2, S-Gamma 3, S-Cinetone, user LUTs, yes. 5-axis steady shot image stabilization, yes. ISO performance in a dark room, I tested it last night, or it was 2 nights ago. And just like having the lights off, everything but the one behind the bookshelf, yes. Stabilization, I don't know what kind of freaking Houdini magic they've been doing back there, but they did their damn job. Do you hear me? I'm serious. And I am not. If you go watch my vlog channel with the E10 and 1018, and I don't care what I'm doing, because I talk with my hands, obviously, but you holding the camera, whatever, it's not great. This, I don't know what they did with this. It is amazing. I'm not joking. It's really freaking good. Even if you don't do the dynamic active state, it's stupid. So the regular, you do have IBIS in the camera. So there's IBIS in here, right? So we know Sony IBIS has not always been great. It is better in this one. And so that's the thing. Then you still have your standard and your active stabilization like on the E10. The active stabilization is way better in this one than it is in the ZV-E10. And I was upset about that, and y'all have heard me talk about that. Like, I wish that, because I think that's going to be the saving grace on the ZV-E10 Mark II, because I don't think they're going to do IBIS in that camera. That's just my thinking. I'm like, the active needs to be better, because when you do need it to be better, you need to do that, because everybody's not going to want to do catalyst browse. It's hella slow. And so, but it's the best. So they took Sony Catalyst Browse stabilization that is gimbal-like in the truest definition of that, and it's in the camera now. It's called dynamic active stabilization. It's freaking amazing. It's unreal. Like, you see the YouTube videos on it, and you see people but in person using this with how you walk and how you carry stuff or whatever, and even just like freaking just moving this mug like crazy. And I'm like, it don't make sense. It's amazing. I'm not joking. It's serious business going on out here in these digital streets with the stabilization in this camera. So it's way better from, like I said, the IBIS, from if you have a lens stabilization, which I wish we had, something like a 16 to 35, f2.8 with OSS in it. I don't know why Sony's not making OSS lenses with the lens stabilization, but I think that would probably add to it. I still need to test that, but even just with lenses without stabilization, I don't know what's going on. I tried it, like I said, with the Tamron 20mm f2.8. I'm like, this is crazy. It's so good. So answer your question, yes. Better quality, better sensor, yes. The same one that's in the A7S Mark III and the FX3 is the exact same sensor that's in that one. ISO performance, dual not dual, am I saying that right? Dual ISO. Brother Camera Junkie, help me out. If I'm recalling correctly. But yeah, I believe it's dual ISO. Yeah, it's good. It's really, really good. Like, it's like the Sony sensors are already great, even though the ones in the E10 and A64, A66 are older. It's really good. Like, it's dumb how good it is. Like, I'm kind of dumbfounded with, like, and that's not just like, oh, I'm excited to talk. No, it's legit. Saying, like, when you bring out a new iPhone and they say, oh, the iPhone is better, but it really isn't better. It just has it just has maybe a bigger body or you know, bigger and better in 1 or 2 pixels. That's what I mean. I feel you. I was thinking the same stuff. Like, is it like, it's okay. But no, it's like, it's better, truly better. There's, like I said, there are so many things in this camera that you're not seeing on YouTube right now. You just not. People are not talking about this. They're not showing this. Like I said, I have plenty of video. We got 30 videos planned about this daggone camera, comparing it to a lot of different stuff, sharing and showing different features, how it's helping improve the workflow already with the stuff that it's dumb. It's like you get the full touch screen, so you can do all that. The swipe up, swipe down, swipe off, swipe to the side, all that stuff. Again, looking at stuff on YouTube and actually how it's like, is it going to make a difference for me, or is it something I'm going to ignore and use or not? Hell yes, it's helpful. And I'm like, okay, so my approach to this, like setting it up and stuff, which you'll see in the setup video and tips and all that whatever stuff, what I'm finding is this camera is great for those swipe up, swipe to the side menus. Even though, like, yeah, you don't have a lot of buttons, the how you create and what, like, stuff you get quick access to. And I'm like, dag, this is dope. I'm like, it's really dope, honestly. And so I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing on this. Like, for real. I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing on this. So, Bees Knees Hall of Fame. Legit. Bees Knees Hall of Fame. Like I said, still on. Been going. It's fine. Ask for whatever questions you want about it. Saying Sigma 16 to 28 feels pretty light, looks great. Yeah, it's a dope lens. Definitely dope lens. Saying Gen Alpha. That's what they're called. Thank you. Gen Alpha is under Gen Z. Saying, hey, what's up, Stall 2213. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Yeah, the Sigma 16 F20, goodness, whatever the hell. That 16 to 28. We'll pull that up real quick on the, what's its face? On B&H. So so for example, that was a lens that I forgot about. I think it came out last year. So this is dope. This lens is dope. And like I said, it's at the f2.8. It's faster. It's weather sealed, whatever, all that stuff. But this one is super small, perfect size. E-mount, L-mount, if you're into the L-mount alliance. But this lens is, I'm like, yeah, I really like this one. So, like I said, between this one and possibly, like I said, the Tamron 70 to 28, only thing is like how heavy the 17 to 28 feels, the Tamron. But I just feel like this one would be better for me, honestly. I know I love the Tamron lens. But I feel like this one is going to be better for me. So I probably will get this one over the 17 to 28, but this is a dope lens. And like I said, they have the 28 to 75 for this as well. And it's the same size. So I'm like, perfect. Give me one. So that's what I'm looking at, lens wise and whatnot. Saying, okay, cool. Thank you. I'll look into it. You're very welcome. Marine X saying, thank you. Very welcome. Saying, what camera and lens are you using right now? This, my good friend, is the Sony ZV-E10. And the Sony 35mm f1.8 lens. All my streams, I'm usually using the I'm using the Sony 35mm f1.8 lens. That's my go-to. Saying thanks for all your contributions and answering questions. You're very welcome. Appreciative saying, wow. And a touchscreen. So dope. Yeah. So a lot of stuff that you see on the other, what was it, like the A7R4? So it's like, even has like the AI stuff in there. And again, looking at it on YouTube alone honestly doesn't do it justice. But when I think about clients that are at a whiteboard, they're doing client calls or whatever, people bought the little, it looks like an Osmo Action webcam or whatever. I can't recall the name. But people have been using that just because it follows them around as they're needing to do stuff. Or they want that follow focus shot until they get over to station 2 or whatever for, their different shots or angles or what have you. I have different clients where they're doing small events and they would prefer somebody kind of follow them around instead of just one big wide angle. So the auto reframing makes sense to that, and you can set it from like it does it more gently, or it can be more aggressive with it. You have that. Or if you're doing pan-in shots, so all of us that create content, we're making B-roll of maybe you're doing Amazon videos and stuff, or product reviews, whatever, and you need to get some B-roll, has the center framing stuff and all that, the stabilization on top of that. You don't have to put it through Catalyst Browse. It don't matter if you're using OSS, whatever. You don't necessarily need a gimbal for those simple shots. So it cuts down tremendously on the workflow timeframes for all that stuff, which is really freaking cool. So the touchscreen is like a half and half a little bit. So what I'm finding myself use a lot is the one, again, surprisingly, the record button that you get that's on the screen, because I can just go through it, or I need to get to something that otherwise would be in the My menu is now in one of the swipe menus. And so I'm like, oh, I need that out the way so I can see real quick. And then I want to put it back because I want to see the settings or whatever. So you have stuff like that. Just little stuff that would have been helpful a long time ago, but here we are. So I think, like I said, for a lot of content creating entrepreneurs, I think it'll work really well. I've enjoyed it a lot with the stuff that I'm doing, like for real. It's been super helpful. I don't think I missed anybody else's comment. We're getting close. I need to take a break here. All right, so that Creative Simmer saying, I'm looking it up right now. Please tell me it had USB streaming in 1080p. Oh, indeed, my dear, it has 4K. I think it's 4K 30 frames per second USB live streaming in it. And you can still do the internal charging, USB charging or whatever. But yeah, it's not 1080p. It's 4K. I think it's like 4K 30 frames per second USB live streaming. That's another one. And so traveling with a capture card or whatever is unnecessary unless you want to for whatever simple streams and all of that. But works like a charm. Really cool stuff. I would say the one thing I'm seeing where people would need to replace your USB data cables for that. Make sure you have a good one and one that won't drop the speeds and all of that stuff because it's too slow. So yes, you do have USB 4K 30p. Like I said, Bees Knees Hall of Fame. And then the battery life, you're not having to be looking 45 minutes into an hour of a stream or whatever and be like, that. Let me wrap this up because the battery about to die or whatever. This one's at 84% now. Again, still going. No overheat symbol or whatever. So I don't know. Like I said, you gotta do what you gotta do. But oh, India, you late. I was just finna say, I said but. And I was about to say, well, guys, this is where we're gonna call it for this one. But what is going on, India, America, in speaking Spanish in America out here in these real and digital streets? But I was just showing the new jam. My Tamron lens autofocusing motors messed up or something's wrong with them, so I had to send that lens back and get something else. So it's a whole thing. You missed it. But that's what I'm gonna call it for this week's Friday Live Helpcast. Always an amazing and wonderful time to be here with you. I'm not gonna check the chat because sure as freaking crap, as soon as I say it's like, oh, people are like, oh, I got one more question. I'm not doing it today. I have another interview in a little bit here, and I do want a little bit of a break and to grab something to eat other than a protein shake that I haven't finished yet. So that's where I'm gonna leave it for this week's live stream. Guys, have you some fun over the weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Love your people well. And I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.